Okay, Zahava, go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much to Roseanne and to the West Hempstead Public Library for all of your great programming, and for whoever's on this program, the Zoom program. Feel free to, you may want to check out the library website. I know I've been really enjoying the Zoom classes in particular. So thank you so much to the library for all you're doing to try to keep us informed, educated, and entertained during this health crisis. Today, this is the third time we're doing Legally Speaking. If you've been on the program before, I'll try not to talk about the same things, although I am getting a lot of questions about estate planning, so I will touch on that. If you have a question, there is a chat option under More, and you go to More, you hover on that, and there is a chat option. Feel free to chat either to me if you want to do it privately, or to the whole group. If you have a question, I would be happy to try to answer your question. Okay, so here we go. There have been a lot of changes, so I'm going to touch on those. Let me move this up and see if that will help me to move down. No, that is not helping me to move down. This is what, I'm sorry, we had this before when we tried to share. No, that's not it. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out how to share there. I'm going to have to do this. I think that's the only way. Can everyone see the screen, even if it's smaller?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, good. All right. So first, this is the disclaimer. I am an attorney, 30 years in New York State. I also live here in West Hempstead, and the primary focus of my practice is estate planning and administration, before you die, after you die, as well as real estate and business law. However, if anyone has a question, I'm happy to try to get an answer for you in this very fluid time where there are many changes. I am not giving legal advice to any specific question. We're only going to discuss general issues. Any specific questions you have, please contact the lawyer of your choice. Again, if you have a question, you can put it in the chat box, or you can email me, schechterlaw@gmail.com, and I'll try to be of assistance. Good health remains paramount now. New York State still has a stay-at-home order. Those of you who are watching Governor Cuomo see that as of May 15th, it looks like upstate is going to open up to some degree. I will also tell you that I'm getting emails from colleagues and clients. They are already doing soft openings. So as of May 1st, they are planning all kinds of businesses, sign businesses, electrical businesses, people, plumbers going into homes. All kinds of people are planning soft openings. So one of the things they are thinking about is, under the law, what are they allowed to do? You need to think about, we all need to think about, do we want people coming into our homes? How are we going to maintain our safety and wellness dealing with people on the outside? If you've already been outside, meaning you're an essential worker, or you're dealing with people, whether in a grocery or a health situation, you know about the masks. And there is at this time a wear mask order. We have a societal obligation to each other, to help each other. I was reading in the paper that the droplets can live in the air for up to 3 hours. So if you're walking down the street, I'm not a scientist, I'm a lawyer, but if you're walking down the street and you pass someone who is not wearing a mask and that person has droplets, you can actually get those droplets even if they're hanging in the air. So I know this past weekend, I was here, I live on Woodfield Road, and I was seeing a lot of people walking around without masks. And it was kind of scary, actually, because my husband and I try to walk. We don't want to stay in the house. We walk always with our mask. I don't want to get anybody else's droplets. So I just encourage you, if you don't have a mask, if you need help getting a mask, you could chat to me about that too. I could try to help you get a mask. It's really important for you. Wearing a mask, it protects you, and it also protects other people. So one thing that Governor Cuomo said, and he's correct, is his executive orders, just like any executive orders, are not law per se, meaning they're not, if you don't wear a mask, you don't get arrested, right? They're not going to put you in jail. If anything, they're emptying the jails. We're going to talk about that too. But it's more of a societal obligation, a moral obligation, if you think of it that way. So Governor Cuomo has issued the executive order. Everyone should wear a mask. Try to do so. Construction is also going to open up. In fact, I read today in Newsday, and I contacted a client of mine who's a contractor, the town of Huntington is waiving all permit fees. If you live in Huntington, I haven't heard anything about town of Hempstead. I haven't heard about local Nassau County, but I know in Huntington, at least, if you have outside work you need to do, whether it's painting or siding or roofing or something outside, you don't even need a permit at this point. You don't need a permit, and they're waiving the fees. So that's pretty good. Maybe you have to send in the application. I don't know how, but there's no payment. I have a feeling town of Hempstead and Nassau County will be moving that way, but we haven't heard yet. Nassau County court system. Only matters deemed essential and emergency will be heard by each court. And I will tell you, the courts are definitely opening up more, meaning, yes, essential, emergency, we're going to talk about what that means. But if you have a case or you're either pending or a new case, I would talk to your lawyer, because I know I've gotten in new cases and we are getting ready. When the courts do open, which I think will be fairly soon, I think sometime in the month of May, I could be wrong, but that's what I think based on what I'm seeing from the New York State Bar Association and our local Nassau and Suffolk County bars. When that happens, there is going to be a very large amount of cases being filed. So, for example, I do a lot of work for families whose family members have passed, and that sole jurisdiction is in the surrogates court. That is the only court that hears cases for people who have died. And I'm having all of my files ready to go, my petitions ready, because I want to get in there fast. Otherwise, if you wait, you're going to be behind a lot of other files. The courts are Skyping. The courts are definitely sending out documents. Judges are working from home. Again, I expect a little bit more of ramping up sometime in May. So if I wouldn't go to the courthouse, but they are ramping up. And actually, I just sent documents to Nassau County, to the county clerk, and they work through the mail system, the US postal system, and they just accepted them. So there are employees working there. I have the proof that they've accepted it. So definitely courts are opening up slowly, but it is happening. The only courthouse right now open is at 262 Old Country Road in Mineola. They are videotaping everyone. They don't want people coming in. Last time we had a participant whose son works as a court officer. Court officers don't want us there. Anything that needs to be done has to be done at this time, either by mail or by Skype or even email. If you have a pending case in court, contact your attorney. Your cases are adjourned for all this period. However, I know I have a case in Queens Supreme Court, a real estate matter, and I'm expecting that to open up anytime, because we can be in contact with each other by Skype and Zoom. So if you have a case, I would definitely be in touch with your attorney. Which cases are courts hearing now? This is more or less what we said last week, but there are a few changes. Only emergency cases are being heard. So I'm sure if you're reading Newsday or you're looking online, you see, while there are new arrests and arraignments, there is a much lower crime rate now, which is a good thing. And if anything, there is a move to release nonviolent inmates. And actually, not only are they releasing them, I was reading about Rikers Island, they're trying to distance everyone because, as you might imagine, a jail or a prison is a petri dish. And it's a great way to further infect other people. Some very high name, well-known criminals are being released to a home arrest, basically, but they are nonviolent. Family matrimonial. I don't know if you're reading as I am, the numbers of cases of domestic violence are increasing, which is very worrying. I'm in touch with my friends who are my colleagues who are matrimonial attorneys. Not only are there more orders of protection being requested, but there are problems now with visitation and custody. And what I'm hearing from my friends is they have to go into court. So I really should have added that under family matrimonial. A family, let's say children are going back and forth between parents for visitation. The parents are divorced or they're separated, and one spouse does not want to release the children to the other spouse for visitation. And then there's a big fight about where are the children safer? And if you move the children from one parent to another, might the children get infected in the second parent's house? Even if the children are okay, then they bring it back to the first parent's house. This is a major problem because, and I've spoken with a number of my colleagues who say that it depends on your judge what's going to happen. So I'll tell you a secret, which is really well known, which is in any case you have in court, it always depends on the judge, right? Different people hear different cases different ways, and a judge can determine the outcome. So what's happening in these visitation cases is that the judge who is making the decision as to whether the kids have to go back to the first parent, that judge may or may not agree. So you may have, a parent may have a custody order or a visitation order, and if the judge, for whatever reason, decides that it's a threat, a health risk, whether to the children or to the other parent, or if there are grandparents in the house or extended family members, then that parent can change unilaterally that, that visitation agreement. So that is a problem. So just mentioning that. Mental health guardianship matters. Only 40%, only 40% of US adults, that means anyone over the age of 18, have done any end-of-life documents. Not only a will, but a healthcare proxy for healthcare decisions during your lifetime, a power of attorney for other decisions other than healthcare during your lifetime. If you don't have those documents in place, no one can make decisions for you, not a spouse, not a parent, no one. So who makes the decision? So when you don't have those documents, then you have to go to Supreme Court and file a guardianship action, which is very expensive, very time consuming, but at least it determines who can make those decisions. Which hospital are you in? How are you living? What is happening for you? This is while you're alive. So a lot of mental health and guardianship matters that cannot wait are being heard. Finally, we have the surrogates court. Again, they're going to see a major increase in cases. You file your petition, whether there's a will or not, in the surrogates court of the county where the decedent, that's the person who just passed, the decedent resided. So even if you have homes in different places, let's say you have a house out in the Hamptons, right, that's Suffolk County. If you're a New York City resident, let's say in Brooklyn, which I have right now, you have to file your petition in Kings County. So especially New York City, anyone who's passing in New York City, the cases there are so numerous. I'm expecting really a flood of cases. So right now, surrogates courts throughout the state are hearing cases involving burial or assets which need management. So let me talk about that. Burial. So somebody passes, a decedent, and the family member needs to figure out what to do with that person. Are you cremating the remains? Are you burying the remains? How is it done? Where is it done? Who has the authority to do it? That's a big problem. And so surrogates courts are hearing those cases. And the other are assets which need management. So for example, let's say a decedent left a house, right, a property. And right now that property needs to be either sold or to be rented, or something needs to be done on that property. Otherwise it's called waste, W-A-S-T-E, waste, meaning you're going to lose value. Maybe the property is abandoned, considered abandoned. Maybe people are going in and breaking in. I mean, there are all kinds of issues when properties are abandoned. So surrogates courts are hearing those cases now. Having said that, I'm going to repeat what I said. I do believe that as the courts are opening up more, even remotely, that if you have any kind of case or your family members involved, get ready. Call your lawyer, whoever you choose now, get ready, because there's going to be a flood. Suffolk County Surrogates Court, that means if you died in Suffolk County, if somebody died in Suffolk County, that's where it's dealt with. They're all e-filed, meaning online. So they're really ready for this. Nassau County is not online. Nassau County, either we have to mail it in or go there. They don't want us to go there. Not quite sure how that's going to work, but Suffolk County is a little ahead of the game. real estate transactions. So I do want to spend some time talking about this. Everything is fluid, obviously. Residential and commercial real estate related businesses are deemed essential. So that includes real estate agents, mortgage brokers, home inspectors, property appraisers, insurance agents, and real estate attorneys. I've got 2 deals going right now, same 2 deals, trying to close. And hopefully we're going to close soon. I'm not sure. For deals that are not yet in the works, there is a problem. Is it a good time to list the home? So I don't know if you read yesterday in Newsday, and I'm listening to my colleagues, and I have some friends who are brokers, so I'm talking with them too. The best plan right now, if you're thinking of putting your house on the market, is to choose the real estate broker and get ready. There is no way to see a house in person right now. So most purchasers, I think, are not going to sign a contract for a house that they can't see. Even though brokers are doing virtual open houses, right? They go in with their FaceTime or whatever they're doing in their houses. Most purchasers are nervous and do not want to sign a contract and give many thousands of dollars as a down payment for a house that they actually haven't seen. They haven't seen the inside. They can only see the outside. There is a problem now that properties currently on the market are at risk of becoming stale. What does stale mean? Stale means you've been on the market a real long time trying to sell your house, and people start to think, if no one's biting and no one's entering into contract, there's something wrong with the house. There is a perception, rightly or wrongly, that if your house is on the market too long, that means there's either a problem or the seller is unreasonable, either in price or in other conditions. So if you're thinking about whether to post your house right now, I'm going to err on the side of caution and say not a great idea. Either that, or if your house is on the market, maybe it's a good time to take it off. I'm not a real estate broker, so the best person to speak with is the broker, but this is what I'm hearing. It's a better thing. Take it off the market, be organized, and as soon as people can go in for open houses, put it back up. The other thing is property values and listing prices are likely to decrease. I'm hearing this from real estate brokers and mortgage brokers as well. Also, today is April 27th. If you own a property in any county, own real estate, and you have not filed your property tax grievance, you should do it immediately. You only have 3 more days. First of all, I don't do this, but it doesn't cost you anything. We all know Nassau County is going to have a major shortfall in tax revenue. And that means all of our taxes are going up. I can promise you most of your neighbors, if you haven't grieved, most of your neighbors have. So if you're not grieving, your property taxes are going to go up higher than theirs are. It doesn't cost you anything with numerous companies with which I'm not affiliated to file your property grievance, but you only have 3 more days. It was supposed to end March 31st. Nassau County extended the deadline to April 30th, You have 3 more days to do it. Get in your property grievance, because if you don't, you will be paying more taxes. That much I can promise you. The other thing is, if this year there are going to be fewer houses sold, which is also what the industry is forecasting, chances are the prices will go down. Normally, when there are fewer houses and there's a great demand, the price goes up, right? But this is a very unusual year, and we're not quite sure when the market's going to be strong. This is the time. We're in April, almost May. This is the time that people are moving or buying houses or want to get in before the school year begins. Their children are starting school maybe in September. We don't know. So what I'm saying to you is it's a very angst-provoking situation. Talk to your real estate broker. But if you don't have to put your property on the market right now, it looks like hold off. And wait until sometime over the summer when things are more open, when people can come into the house, when people are actually going to be serious about buying. The other thing is, if you have to sell, it's one thing. If you don't have to sell, you may be getting less money now. So you have to consider that as well. So I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but the real estate market is not as strong as it was hoped. So are your legal affairs in order? You know, we're all home. Besides cleaning and watching too much TV and eating it from the refrigerator, this is a great time to figure out, are your affairs in order? And I'm going to go a little bit into a program that I included previously, and I apologize to those who have already heard it. I'm just going to go through it briefly. Business matters, personal matters, healthcare instructions, and end-of-life wishes, all very different. There are 3 basic documents in estate planning: the healthcare proxy, the durable power of attorney, and the last will and testament. I'm going to go over them very briefly. It's a good time to think about these issues and to make your plans. The healthcare proxy deals only with healthcare decisions. It is only effective if you are unable to make your own decisions. The most important issues are, what would you want if a doctor said that your prognosis for living a normal life, a functional life, a non-vegetative state life, what would you want? Would you want to be resuscitated? Would you want to be kept alive at all costs? Would you not want to be? These are important issues. I have some other issues here, including burial and cremation. I just want to talk about the agent, because we're going to come back to this before. The person you name as your agent is probably the most important decision you can give. So these decisions are very hard. Should that person have surgery? Should that person be kept alive? Should that person have medication? They're not easy. They're emotionally difficult decisions. Pick an agent, and you need at least one backup in case that person's not available. Pick an agent whom you think is strong, who can handle the stress and make these difficult decisions. It's important to think about that ahead of time. Durable power of attorney. It's called durable because even if you later become incapacitated, either through coma, or we're talking about mental capacity, not physical, coma, Alzheimer's, dementia, something like that, or you're in the hospital and intubated and you're sedated, you can't make a decision, they're still good. This applies only to financial matters while you're alive. There are a lot of issues here, but again, choose your agent wisely. Last will and testament. So if those other 2 documents, power of attorney and healthcare proxy, they're all valid, presumably, but if they're effective while you're alive, the last will and testament is only effective when you die. So you can make a will today, another one tomorrow, another one the next day. The last one is the one that becomes effective. Again, choose your executor. That's the name of the person who marshals your assets and distributes, and successor wisely. There are a lot of issues here, but I'm not going to go into that. Think about who you want to be your beneficiaries. I just want to say one thing we haven't discussed before, but someone contacted me during the week to talk about it, and I thought I would bring it up. When you think about who your heirs at law are, like if you died today and you didn't have a will, are you married? Do you have children? Do you have grandchildren? Do you have great-grandchildren? If none of those, go up to parents. If none of those, you go out to the side to siblings and then their children. If you have remarried or either into a situation where you're a step parent, or you have friends or people who are like family to you, but they're not blood related, those people are not heirs at law. Anybody who is not blood related will not receive any benefit once you die unless you have a will. So one of the reasons that a lot of people make wills is because either there's a subsequent marriage, or you want to name somebody or a charity or whatever, somebody who is not somebody or something who is not a blood relative. Those people will never take unless there is a will. Sometimes I get calls from family members, and I don't know if you'll be surprised by this, but they don't really get along. So I hear about, I don't want to give my brother anything, or I don't want to give this child anything. This child has a drug problem, or this child has an alcohol problem, or this child has a mental problem and is getting benefits from the government. And if that child inherits, that child will be thrown off the rolls of the government, of government aid, Medicaid or SSI or whatever else. These are great reasons to make a will, because then you deal with it. There's only one person in New York State whom you cannot disinherit, meaning you can say, I don't want my kids to get anything, I don't want my parents. It's a legal spouse. So if you are married to someone, not living, not cohabiting, but legally married, which includes in New York State, same-sex marriage. If you are legally married to someone, you cannot just inherit that person. That person will receive not less than 1/3 of your estate. So lots of issues to think about. Miscellaneous matters. So I have a friend who's a life insurance agent, and she tells me her phone is ringing off the hook. Lots of people want to get life insurance. So think about life insurance. I would say to you, there are many kinds. If you have whole life, it's not a bad idea. It's just very expensive. And it's like a forced savings plan. Usually term life is sufficient if you have someone who is relying upon you. If you died and somebody is relying upon you to support him or her, whether a child, a parent, whoever it is, spouse, that's a reason to have life insurance. If you don't have anyone who's relying on you, I don't see the need, but that doesn't mean you don't need it. You have to know your specific circumstance. Long-term care insurance. The time to get long-term care insurance is before you need it. I got it in my 30s. So that's because I saw people in their 30s and 40s and 50s who got sick and couldn't qualify for it at that point. So what is long-term care insurance? So we all know, I think, about Medicare, right? Medicare is age-based. So Bill Gates, who is a billionaire, qualifies for Medicare because he is 65 or older, right? Just like poor people can qualify for Medicare. It's not financially based. Medicaid, on the other hand, is financially based. So you can have a baby who is 1 day old or someone who is 90s. The only issue is the only question is how much money does that person have? All right, so if you have any assets, house, bank account, whatever, you have to use that money after Medicare runs out to pay for your needs, either aid, if you need an aid in the house, or you need to go into a nursing home, which I don't know how many people are going into nursing homes at this point. Actually, I just got a call from someone who was thinking about having her mother go into a nursing home, and now they're keeping her at home because they don't know what's going to be. And nursing homes are difficult places to be right now. But in any case, Medicare only covers a certain number of days, and then you're on your own. So long-term care insurance is a great way to protect your assets and to have coverage so you are not a burden on your adult children, on your spouse, whomever. If you have questions, I don't sell it, but it's a great thing to do, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Another thing, check your beneficiary designations on all bank, brokerage, retirement, and insurance policies. So I just got a call. We're going to be filing an action in surrogates court. Why? Because dad died and he owned a bank account only in his name, and he didn't list a beneficiary. It doesn't cost anything to list a beneficiary on all of these accounts I've just written. It's called either TOD, transfer on death, or P, like in Peter, POD, payable on death. You can contact your bank, your brokerage account, your retirement account administrator, your insurance company now and say, I want to check who my beneficiaries are. First of all, if they've died already, that's not good, because then you're going to have to either probate or do something with the courts. This is what happens when you have somebody named as beneficiary. I die, and my beneficiary just provides my death certificate and his or her ID to the financial institution and immediately gets the money. You don't have to go to court. It doesn't take a long time. It's really easy. It's a great thing to do. So I encourage, if you get nothing out of this program, please check your beneficiary designations on all of your assets, even your IRAs, everything. And that way, your beneficiaries won't have a problem getting the assets. You want them to get it. You don't want lawyers to get it. You don't want the court to get it. You don't want the IRS or New York State to get it, right? You want your beneficiaries to get it. So only you can do it, by the way. A lawyer can't do it for you. An accountant can't do it for you. Nobody can do it for you. You are the only one who can check and make changes to beneficiaries. So please do that. The other thing is, you may check out, I just want to say one other thing. If someone was married previously and named spouse number 1 as the beneficiary, and then that person remarries, right? Spouse number 2, and that person dies, but doesn't make a change to the beneficiary, spouse number one is going to get that asset. Presumably, you don't want spouse number one getting the asset. So anytime there is a life event, any life event, birth, death, divorce, marriage, anything, you should be checking your beneficiaries again. Try to do it on a yearly, annual basis, just to make sure it's as you want it. Okay, I've done this before. Benjamin Franklin, in this world, nothing can be said to be certain except death and taxes. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. So don't prepare to fail, prepare to succeed. I do see an opening of our economy. I do see people being more positive, uplifted. 2 people contacted me, one from West Hempstead today, this week, or last week actually, I'm sorry. She wants to open a wedding event planning business. I see that as hopeful. She thinks this is going to end, and all the people who have been waiting to get married, I know Margot had a question, but all the people who are waiting to get married with receptions, et cetera, they're going to contact her. So I wrote a contract this week. Let's hope that continues. And that's it. Stay safe and well. Thank you so much.